Right, so I'm just going to do a walk around of my Saab 9000 from 1987. All the modifications I did to it, and yeah. I will start with the engine. I converted it from a B202, that was standard one, to a B234R from 1996. I converted the management system to the Trionic system, so that works with this coil pack instead of the rotor ignition, and it's well, freely programmable, so that makes it makes it very nice to play with it. So I will just go to the hardware. I will start on the turbo and on the exhaust. This is a Garrett GT3071R. It has some custom billet wheel in it. The exhaust housing is a Ford Falcon XR6 one, so that's from an Australian market. It's mounted to the B202 T3 manifold. I believe there are only a few years where they used the T3 manifold on these engines. I changed to a different actuator. I think I got a 0.5 bar spring in it currently. Well, as you can see, I run the braided lines for the oil feed, for the water. Well, and the return is just something from a Saab 9.5. It's fairly standard. Well, the downpipe is made by myself. I TIG welded the exhaust. I did some pie cuts, so all kinds of small pieces to get those sharp turns, because as you can see, it's fairly close to the water pump. I bought, well, I don't know if that was a good choice, but I bought a flange that separates the downpipe from the wastegate. From the wastegate, and so I had the possibility to install a screamerpipe. As you can see, it's sitting right here. So that's all very nice, very noisy. Alright, so that's the turbo. I got the intake. It's a 4-inch, so it's like 102 millimeters going to a 4-inch Pipercross air filter. I will just go to the crankcase ventilation directly. I modified that. I once had a problem. I was running the crankcase ventilation open, so it wasn't going back to the engine, and that had me stranded on the side of the highway, because it was, well, like pulling in oil from that small hose that you originally have going from there into the inlet manifold. So that's what I modified. It's fairly, yeah, I think it's a bit overkill, but well, I want to use the car hard, so I think it will be good to have it like this. As you can see, I got some different boost piping. It's 3-inch with the Tial blow-off valve running to an Aluminium Intercooler. You can't really see it very well because it's nice and snug here. This intercooler is fairly big, but it's not very thick, so it's, I think, only 30 millimeters wide. So I could maybe improve that once. As you can see, I also relocated the oil cooler. That's nice here behind the grill. Here on the bottom you can see I made some small ducting for the air, that it maybe catches some more air. Well, the cylinder head is the stock T5 cylinder head. The only thing I did to it was have it completely, how do you say it? It was rebuilt, so the valves were all grinded. It's checked if there were no leaking valves. There's new seals in it. I got stiffer valve springs, Volvo valve springs, B202 camshafts. I recently bought adjustable cam sprockets that I still need to install, so to get the timing a bit different maybe. For the bottom end, it's completely stock. It's the T5 bottom end. So T5 pistons. The only thing I did to that was put all new bearings in it, and I deleted the balance shafts. So I had some small aluminum pieces machined to be sure that the oil channels were blocked. Yeah, so the bottom end is fairly standard. Transmission wise is also pretty standard. Transmission is stock. The only thing I did is change the clutch disc and the pressure plate. Yeah, the pressure plate is a Sachs one. It's rated to 550 Newton meters, and the clutch disc is a sinter, so a pedal clutch disc. Let's see, what did I forget? Yeah, just some small things, like I changed this ventilator because, well, as you can see, it's the way I'm running this. There's not much space for the original one. It's coming to around here. So, and this one produces a lot more air, so it stays nice and cool. Then I got to the intake. The intake manifold is completely standard. The only thing that I changed was the injectors. I went for Siemens 875cc injectors and 3.5 bar map sensor. Currently I'm running around 2 bars of boost, and in order to regulate that you need a better and another map sensor with a bigger range. So I think then I mostly had everything here. I would just go and explain some things about what I changed to the suspension and the brakes. As you can see, I changed the front brake calipers. They are 6-pot calipers. The discs are from a Ford Focus RS. They are 330mm ones. Well, I got the aftermarket OZ Superleggero wheels with the semi-slicks. I got the Bilstein B6 shock absorbers with Maptun 35mm lowering springs, and I don't know if you can see it, but I got a different sway bar kit. It's much beefier than the original one. It's, I think, yeah, twice as big as the original one, so the car doesn't really roll that much. It doesn't have a lot of body roll anymore. That's, I think, mostly suspension wise. I got braided brake lines, a small detail. Then interior wise, I changed the steering wheel. Well, I think it's pretty nice. It was a cheap one, but feels pretty good. It's a bit thicker, and yeah, it just makes it look sporty, I think. I got the wideband. It's an Innovate wideband, MTXL. It's plugged into the ECU as well, so that also reads the wideband data. Then I got some small gauges. I got the oil temperature gauge, oil pressure gauge, and turbo, well, the boost gauge. And then there I got some analog oil pressure to be sure always that the oil pressure is right. And if it's not right, then it will show me. Then I got this short shifter. Well, it looks standard, but there's just a different sort of bearing there, so it's a very short throw. It's pretty nice. The gearbox isn't the best, but at least now the shifting goes, yeah, fairly easy. Then the seats, just different ones. They're original. It was not leather, but I put the leather inside, so that's pretty good. Well, then on the back, the standard brakes, braided brake lines. I got a different sway bar here as well. It's a part of a kit. Yeah, well, for the fuel system, it's completely stock. It's the stock fuel pump, stock fuel lines, stock pressure regulator. Everything is just standard. But I think I'm running around 400 horsepower now, so it's holding pretty well. I have no, yeah, there's no short on fuel as far as I'm concerned. And well, here it's a final bit, I think. It's the exhaust I made myself. It's a small shotgun piece. I liked it from the Saab 900s. You can buy a shotgun piece for that. And I had some tubing laying around, so on on a Sunday afternoon. Once I made this. It's not perfect, but I think it looks pretty cool. Well, for the sleeper look, I got this tow bar. I also use it sometimes. It's not a really impressive mod, but it's very convenient for towing shit. So I think that's mostly it.